Okay, we're continuing 3.1 today. Which is greater? The tangent of 30 or the tangent of 40? So tangent is what over what? You should know this by now.
Y over X.
Okay. So tangent of theta is y over x. So I'm going to just draw both of these. It's going to be really exact. Okay, so here's 30. And here's 40. Okay, really exact, right? Does it matter? No. It just... Okay, so this is y, and this is x, and this is y, and this is x. Which one of these have a greater tangent? Knowing that tangent is y over x.
40.
Why?
Because the Y is bigger.
Because the y is bigger. And if I'm going to divide the y by the x, I'm going to get a bigger number if the y is bigger and the x is shorter, aren't I? Okay, so the y is bigger. So that's bigger. You have some problems in here today. You actually have 4 of them because I was mean and just said 19 through 68. And what they're supposed, bless you, what they're supposed to do is make you think about them. Okay?
I thought I was going to try to track that.
No.
It was gonna be 30.
Do these pictures help? Okay. What if I asked about the sine of 30 and the sine of 40? So sine is,
Y over R.
okay, so I need to compare, here's r, yes. So which one's going to be bigger?
Wouldn't it be 40 again?
It'd be 40 again, wouldn't it? Because you're dividing a bigger number. What if I said cosine? Which x be, oh, because cosine's whatever what? X over r, so you're looking for the bigger x, right? Which would be on 30. I'm not asking exactly. I'm asking you to think about it. Okay? Make sense? All good
That's all.
for that? Okay.
That's all for the day.
That's it. I gave you 30 problems on that. Actually, 20. Oh, that's more than that. Sorry. 49 problems. Okay, so this is quadrant 1. Yes? Quadrant 2, and in Roman numerals, quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. I will take off for not using Roman numerals.
Why?
Because. So this is the positive x, the positive y, the negative x, and the negative y. Yes? So in quadrant 1, what kind of a point do I have? Plus, plus, minus, minus, plus, minus, minus, plus, plus. In quadrant 2,
Plus negative. Negative plus.
thank you. 3,
Negative.
negative, negative,
Plus negative.
plus negative. Now, using that, what quadrants is sine of theta positive and negative? So sine is whatever what? Y, y over r. So r is always positive, right? So sine's positive when what? When y is positive. So what quadrant does that make sine positive in? and
Two.
2. And if it's not positive, it's what? Negative. So that would be 3 and 4. Okay, cosine is x over r. What quadrants are cosine positive in? Quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. And it's negative in 2 and 3. Tangent is y over x. So it's going to be positive where the signs are the same, correct? And what about 3? Aren't they both negative? So 2 negatives make a positive. So quadrant 1 and quadrant 3. And so then it's negative in and 4. And I will always talk about the positive, because if I know the positive, do I know the negative? Yes. Okay, now I've just let you know, they say that sine and cosine are called odd functions, and sine and tangent are odd functions, and cosine is an even function. And I'll explain to you that why in a second. You notice I didn't talk about cosecant, secant, or cotangent, did I? Well, cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So is it still going to be positive and negative where sine is? Yes. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so it's going to follow the same rules. Cotangent's the reciprocal of tangent, so it's going to follow the same rules. There are 6 functions, but I'm all about remembering 3. How about you guys? If I know that sine and cosecant go together, cosine and secant, tangent and cotangent, I can do those things and just reciprocate them. Limit what you need to know. Figure out the connection to what you already know so you don't have to work our brains that hard.
So if y and x, like, they're any numbers, will it still be, like, the same as that right there, or? Okay.
Yep. Okay, the reason why we call tangent and cosine, we have odds and evens. If I do sine, I go positive, positive, negative, negative, positive, positive, negative, negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's if I'm going a positive direction. What if I go to a negative direction? What do I get? Negative, negative, positive, positive. Is it different? Yeah, they're opposite signs, aren't they? So the sine of 30 would be positive, but the sine of negative 30 would be negative. Now, tangent, it happens the same way. Positive, negative, positive, negative. Negative, positive, negative, positive. I forgot, I should have been looking. Does that make sense? But cosine, positive, negative, negative, positive. Positive, negative, negative, positive. If I go the other way, what am I going to get? Positive, negative, negative, positive. So is it going to have the same sign, positive or negative, if I go counterclockwise or clockwise? Yes. That's why cosine is considered an even function and tangent and sine are considered odd functions. Just so you know. What else do I want to say about this? What functions are, I'm going to write it on here now. What functions are positive in the first quadrant?
Sine, cosine, tangent.
Yep, all of them. Yes? All of them. Sine, cosine, tangent, secant, cosecant, cotangent. Every single one is positive in the first quadrant because x and y are both positive. Yes? Okay. What's positive in the second quadrant? the y, so it's the sine. What's positive in the third quadrant? Tangent. Now again, sine and cosecant, tangent and cotangent, right? And in the fourth quadrant, cosine. So what do you notice about your patterns here?
It's all and they each get their own little box.
Yep, they're all, and they each get their own quadrant, don't they? I love it when people tell me things in the first quadrant are negative. I just like die on that one. That is the one you should never miss, right? And we decide whether they're positive, negative based on the x and the y. And if you know y over r, x over r, and y over x, should you ever get that wrong either? No. Questions? Does that make sense what we just did? Okay. So the majority of your assignment today, it will say if sine of theta equals negative 5/13. Now I'm going to tell you in the book they do not write it 5 over 13. They write it, which is absolutely horrible, isn't it?
You said not to use
And I said not to. And I know why the book does it. The book does it because it's on the same line. But which one looks better? Left or right? Left or right?
They just completely didn't listen to you.
I know, they didn't. I told them. I was editing the book. I wrote it. My name's on the front.
Then why do you write it like that?
They wanted to save money. Okay. So if sine is negative 5/13, now it's negative, so where could sine be negative at? It's positive in the first and second, so it's negative in the third and fourth. So if it doesn't tell me, I'd have to do like 5 different answers here and 5 different answers here, wouldn't I? The only thing that'd be different is the positive and negative, though, huh? But they do tell me. And terminates. Theta terminates. What does that mean? What's terminate mean?
It's for the same line.
It stops. Oh, 3, not 2. Couldn't be a negative in 2, could it? It means when I draw my picture, it goes all the way over here and it stops. So we'll draw a picture. It says find cosine and tangent. Some of them will say find cosine and tangent, and others will say find all 6 trig functions. And we're going to find all 6 trig functions just because 6 not with a Z. Okay. We're going to find all 6 just because this is the only example we're going to do. So the first thing you're going to do is make a picture. Doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be large, but it does have to be big enough that you can write on it and tell what you're writing. First thing I'm going to do is when you say, Mrs. Mick, I need help, I said, let me see your picture. Almost every single problem I will ask you that. Okay, so if terminates in the third quadrant, I need to write a triangle in the what? In the third quadrant. And it always goes to what axis? The X. So it's negative 5/13. Well, is the negative on the 13 or the 5? What is sine? Whatever what? Is it ever on the R? No. So obviously it goes on the Y. So I have negative 5. And that makes R what? 13. And to find all 6 trig functions, I need X, Y, and R. So how am I going to find X? Okay, we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. So do it. Or you can know this is one of those special triangles I told you to know. Figure it out for today, then you'll remember. Figure it out. Figure it out. Because I'm already done. I've been done a long time ago.
I remember.
Hey, off.
I'm done with math.
She gets it.
Does anyone remember what 13 squared is?
I thought
I'm
169.
I remember it because it's funny.
Okay. Do we need to start having those quizzes again, like geometry?
No.
no.
No, because I remembered it.
Yeah,
I didn't have to
Matt
do that
does.
while you're here.
Matt
Okay.
gets it.
I hated those.
169 minus 25, and you get 144, and so it is 12.
I knew
It is a 5, 12, 13 triangle. As long as 13 is on the radius, it's a 5, 12, 13. Now, be careful, because sometimes I put those things and don't put them on the radius. Okay?
Oh, I thought it was a 6. That was what I thought at first. A 512 or a 513 6.
That would be wrong.
Yeah.
You can't get from 13 squared down to 36. Not with a 5. Okay,
Waiting here.
now we need to do sine, cosine, and tangent. You guys want to try on your own?
Yep.
No.
Okay. Oh, wait, I did that wrong. It's not 12, it's what? It's 12, but what's wrong with my 12?
Negative.
Why is it negative?
Because it's on the negative.
It's on the negative axis, right? And if you draw your picture, will you miss that?
Yes.
No,
You shouldn't.
I
Okay,
did.
I did. But I didn't miss it because I caught it.
But you did though.
I did. Go. Everyone should get sine correct. If you don't know them yet, you should be writing your ratios every time. I've heard a few people think they knew them and they didn't. So they probably should write what they are.
Well, you don't look back.
No.
Bladen, did you write your stuff every time you used it on Friday?
No. I probably would have remembered it anyways.
How'd it go?
Good.
Everyone good? Now on the secant and the cosecant, I wrote the 13 as negative, but is the 13 negative?
No.
No.
Put it up top.
Now they'll give you the secant and they'll make it negative 13 over 12. So do you know you have to stop and think
Yeah.
that the 13 is not negative? Okay. When it says the remaining trig functions, that means all 6, yes?
Yes.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Nope, there's a bunch saying greater than, less than, and it'll say, like the tangent is negative 16 over 3. So if the tangent's negative 16 over 3, what quadrant could it be in? If tangent is negative, what quadrant could it be in?
2 or 4.
2 or 4. Okay. Now you can look at this chart, but would it be better to make this and think of it as your y over x? Yes. Okay. Questions?